Good evening. My name is Clint Schroeder. I'm the president and executive publisher for the Hagedon Media and Hagedon newspaper groups. On behalf of the Joint Public Policy Committee representing the Coeur d'Alene Regional, Hayden, Post Falls, and Rathdrum Chambers of Commerce, in partnership with the Coeur d'Alene Post Falls Press, welcome to the 2024 Town Hall Candidate Forums. These forums provide a unique opportunity to connect with the candidates who seek to serve our community. Tonight's events will be hosted by two esteemed business leaders, Hilo Hancock, CEO of Beacon Clinic, and Tyrell Stevenson, Legislative Director of the Coeur d'Alene Tribe. This year, our moderators will sit down with each candidate to discuss several of the most pressing issues in Kootenai County. By meeting with our candidates one-on-one in a more casual environment, we aim to provide our voters with a better understanding of each candidate's point of view.
Well, good evening. Next, we're going to hear from the incumbent in Kootenai County Commissioner Seat 3, as well as the challenger for that seat later. And our first candidate that we're going to talk to is the incumbent commissioner, Leslie Duncan. Leslie, please take a minute to introduce yourself and let our audience know why you're running for this seat again.
All right. Leslie Duncan, and I've been in the office over 5 years. I really love the job. Being available for the people, protecting rights is very important to me. So I've been married 26 years, 2 adult kids, and we all serve. We're all serving the community. So I've made over 6,000 decisions, and when looking for re-election, you know what you have with me. And I just plan on doing the same thing for the next 4-year term that I've done already. Just representing the people, listening, and coming up with common sense solutions with our citizens here. All right.
Well, since you've been in office for a bit, name one thing that the commissioners could do that you'd like to do in their next term to improve the quality of life for Kootenai County.
Mostly listen. Just continue to listen to the public. Growth is a huge issue. And so I want to come up with solutions that the community can support and that they're happy with. Because it's not my ideas that win at the end of the day. It's the citizens in the community that need to come together and figure out what is it that will maintain our quality of life in the midst of this growth.
Yeah, we hear a lot about growth, and we'll probably hear a lot more about it in the next few years. You know, this is a primary election, and in a contested primary race, you have members of the same party running against each other for the same seat, and people may think, well, there might not be a lot of difference between those candidates. But what are some of the differences that set you apart from your opponent in this race?
Well, I've been doing the job for 5 years, so I've proven that I will stand in the gap for citizens' rights. I've proven that I can make good decisions based on the information, and I've proven that I will listen, and if new information comes forward, that I will change direction. So it's all about making decisions, the best decisions on the information you have. And if you get new information, I think it's very important to be able to address that. You know, I've been here over 25 years, and I just love this community. I didn't have the privilege of growing up here, but I know what it's like to be from somewhere else. And I fight to protect our values, to protect our way of life here. And I think that has a lot to do with community. I've been serving the community my whole life, whether it's been in my church or through Aquifer Protection District, just different UGM auxiliary and different avenues of life where I can meet people and talk to them and just serve. Really, I just really enjoy that. And that's what I like about my job so much. And I think there's more life left in me to continue in the same realm. And since becoming chairman, I really feel that, I've seen the civility come back at our public hearings. So they can tend to get very rowdy. We've seen that with multiple governmental agencies recently. And I just give the audience an out, let them know that I am listening to them, and I give them a way to connect with me during a hearing without having to cheer or yell or disrupt. So I think bringing civility back to local government is very important to me.
Well, you already touched on it once, and of course, a huge topic in the community right now is growth, and probably will be for a while. But what specific things would you like to do as commissioner going forward to manage growth?
Well, continuing to have the conversation with the citizens, because once again, I'm here to protect and to listen to the citizens for these different things that we may do to help with the growth, right? Infrastructure is a big deal, and I want to have that conversation with the community. All right, I use the example of motor vehicle licensing. If you are okay with waiting 90 days for your license plate, we don't need to make a whole lot of changes. But if you would like same-day service, then we're going to need to hire 6 full-time people. It's going to cause it, to raise taxes and that. So having that level of service conversation, having the different aspects, and it'd be nice to boil it down to, okay, what's our number one priority? Let's go after that priority. Then what's our number 2 priority? And kind of continue to have that conversation with the public to find out, are they having trouble in the court system? Are they having trouble on the roads? And obviously the county doesn't do the roads, but we can still help facilitate that conversation. And, subdivisions are a big deal. There's a lot of stuff that we really need to continue to look at, because we're looking at it now, but continue that conversation and look at what does that look like for the overall plan, especially when new people move in here and they don't understand the lack of service that they're used to from where they came from. So that's a conversation too. The county gets questions every winter. Why aren't you plowing my road? Well, number 1, we don't plow. Number 2, it's your road. So it's a private road. So you better go look for a plow. But, just continuing the conversation, and might sound cliche, but that's what I'm here to do, is to serve, because what might work, in one area is not going to work in another area. So having that conversation, which, I think my relationships with the different entities around helps that.
All right. Well, we really appreciate you coming down and taking the time to let the voters get to know you a little bit. In a minute, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to leave us with?
I love my job. I work really hard. In the last 12 months, I think I've sent and received about 15,000 emails, which is over, even the other 2 commissioners combined don't reach that number. So I'm very responsive. I want to hear from constituents in the community. You know what you get with me. There's no surprises. There's no, I guess, guesswork, right? You just see what you got. And I've proven myself that I will stand up. And, I came out against the shutdowns because this community wasn't experiencing some of the stuff that other places were. And I think that we should have been able to make different decisions than we did, and might have proven some better outcomes for some people. So mostly I want to serve the people, and I love it here, and it's where I want to be.
All right. Well, we really appreciate the time and like I said, getting the opportunity for the voters to get to know you.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, we are now going to meet our next candidate for the Kootenai County Commissioner Seat 3, and that is Brett Surplus. And Brett, thank you for being here with us this evening. Why don't you take a minute and introduce yourself and explain why you're running for office?
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me. Like you said, my name is Brett Surplus, and I'm a born and raised native here. I've seen a lot of growth in my 50 years. I've seen a lot of mistakes that have taken place on the management level, I would say. Normally, I wouldn't go for this job. I'm pretty happy with the job that I have doing real estate. Just watching everything that's taken place with the mistakes in the county, the wasteful spending, the common sense mistakes, and then also the question about, the future of the fairgrounds. That's pretty much what got me into, wanting to go ahead and step forward and kind of protect the community and my heritage that I'm here. That's what's drawn most people here, is because of our heritage. And I think at this time we need somebody who's molded from that heritage.
So we've got 3 questions. You're going to have 2 minutes for each of these. And the first question that we want to ask is, name one thing that the county commission could do to improve the quality of life for the citizens of Kootenai County. And what would you do to implement that?
Well, in the last 3 years, we've got a huge problem with growth. They talked about it in 2022, and to me, it's being irresponsible growth. We're at a point now where it's bottlenecking with our infrastructure. I think that they've abandoned sitting down with city councils and mayors and trying to, come up with a comp plan that's going to actually start to slow things down. The only thing that we have really, going on here right now, it seems like, is more, traffic construction and homes being built. So I'd like to see some more industry stuff come into play to actually accommodate the people of this community, especially the ones who've been here their whole life and whatnot. So I think we need to sit down and get with the cities and this, when it comes to the annexing, to be able to slow things down a little bit.
Great. So the second question we have for you, and again, you'll have 2 minutes for this. This is a contested primary election, and oftentimes in a primary election, you have candidates from the same party running against one another, and it's a fair question to say, well, they're from the same party. How really are they different here, and what differentiates Brett from his opponent? Take a couple minutes and explain to the voters what makes you different from your candidate, your opponent, and and why folks should vote for you.
Well, with my background, I've got a background from law enforcement, banking, and then real estate. And if the people have paid attention to what's gone on as far as the county's concerned, like the Justice Building, for instance, we're $12 million over. The incumbent never was a foreman for that, took that responsibility on, and now we're $12 million over. Hasn't garnered the support of law enforcement. They keep talking about, well, we've got pay raises. They've had more pay raises. Well, pay raises is not putting us to the level of where we're losing. We've lost more money in training and people, $3.5 million in 10 years. So that's not, doing favors. That's doing catch up, right? And then on the other hand, we're also jeopardizing the people of this community by not doing the appropriate pay, to where we were down to 9 dispatchers for 180,000 people. And it took $200,000 to actually bring that back up to where we start having applications coming in. So it took money to resolve that problem. And it's an expensive mistake when we have to pay over $100,000 for 2 temporary dispatchers for 3 months. Now, if those people if they're not able to go ahead and hit the floor because it's a high tense job, it's $37,000 or so per month to keep them going. So these are costly mistakes that have taken place, and then getting sued from, the assessor when they went after their wages. That's, to me, is an government overreach. So all of these things are wasteful spending. It's not being, fiscally responsible. And it's common sense things that we need to get back to and hold on to our money.
Okay. So you mentioned growth as one thing that was affecting the quality of life here. Let's dig into that a little bit. It's definitely something that's at the top of a lot of people's minds here in Kootenai County. And how do we manage growth? And what do we do about it in the long term? Tell us what you would do in the long term, and what are the kinds of things the kinds of precise solutions that you would have to trying to address the long-term management of growth?
It comes back to that original question as far as getting people, the cities, back to the table with the county. The moment that the annexing takes place is when everybody's trying to help out their area, right? Their roads, putting roundabouts, trying to accommodate. It's no different than like as far as with Hayden, having that new 412 housing complex. You have all of these things that now, if you take, two drivers per house, now we have 824 more vehicles just coming out of that roadway. We've had 7 fatalities in the last, I don't know how long. So it comes to that bottleneck, and there has to be a comp plan that needs to be done, and we have to get everybody under the same agreement. We can talk about as far as, the aquifer is great. Oh, okay, but what's it going to look like in 5 years? What's it going to look like in 10 years? What are our children going to be left with? And maybe we need to start looking at as far as going, okay, do we start making certain developments where maybe they're 1 acre parcels like Dalton Gardens, or instead of trying to cram so many houses onto one parcel? I know builders don't like to hear that, but unfortunately, once you build it, you can't go back. It's there. So we need to think about as far as our area versus the dollar. It comes down to that.
Okay. Well, great, Brett. Appreciate those responses, and you'll now have 1 minute to give the voters of Kootenai County your final closing statement and why they should vote for you.
Having been here my whole life, I've watched a lot of change. For a lot of you new residents that have been here, you've been captured on as far as how the people are here, how we do things here. And I think that if you want to keep that, you need to have some sort of leadership that actually comes from that's molded from it. We've had too many issues that have gone on in the county that have cost us millions of dollars. We've had to pull from reserves to cover other things. These are common sense mistakes. And unfortunately, I'm at the point where I can't vote for the incumbent anymore. There comes a point where we have to separate friends and we have to say, it's just not working out. So if you want growth to continue, then I would say you can vote for the incumbent. If you want it to some sort of planning that's going to actually reduce it, then it'd be great to have your vote.
Great. Well, we sure appreciate the time with us this evening and helping the voters here in our community understand more about where you're at on these issues and help them in their decision about who to vote for.
I appreciate. Thank you for having me.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks again to all the candidates who participated tonight. A very special thank you to our moderators, Hilo Hancock and Tyrell Stevenson, for their excellent questions and moderation. Your dedication to our community is admirable. I'd also like to thank the members of my team at the Hagedon Media Group and the Coeur d'Alene Press. Special thanks to the team at Quicksilver Studios. And thanks to all of you who took the time to watch. This year's 5 primary election town hall candidate forums allowed us to become more familiar with the 13 Kootenai County local race candidates. We sincerely thank those candidates who took the time to discuss what's important to county voters. We at the Hagedon Media Group take the job of providing voters with the most relevant candidate information very seriously. We hope this town hall forum has helped inform those still uncertain about whom they will cast that final vote for in the coming weeks. Along with these forums, you can find our comprehensive voter's guide, at www.cdapress.com. Most importantly, don't forget to vote. It's one of the most important and powerful rights and responsibilities we have as Americans. Thank you, and good night.